Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 27th of July. Today we have a lot of very interesting updates, so let's start. And first we are going to start with the report of Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation, and according to their report, during the previous 24 hours they did a lot of rocket strikes, and as a result of that strikes the Ukrainians has had a lot of losses. If we're talking about Seversk Solidar area, this one, as a result of Russian attack, the Ukrainians' 10th Mountain Brigade lost around 75 soldiers. This brigade is located on the area between Ivano-Daryevka, Veselaya, Solidar, Fedorivka, Seversk. They are stretched there, and their main goal of that brigade is to stop the Russians on their way towards Seversk and towards Solidar. This is the brigade that located on the edge of the zero line, and the Russians were hunting this brigade for a very long time. Another important update is about 72nd Air Assault Brigade and about 28th 8th Mechanized Brigade. The Russians told that they attacked the base of their reserves of these two brigades. As far as I understand, the reserves of these two brigades is located at the same place. And as a result of that attack, the Ukrainians lost around 200 soldiers. If we're talking about the front lines, about this area, about the south, I'm sure that you saw the report from Ukrainian sources, from the Russian sources, about the rocket HIMARS attack against this bridge, Antonov Bridge, that connects Kherson and the south of Ukraine. There was around 36 missiles launched towards this bridge, and the Russian sources are saying that the bridge was damaged, but the column still exists. The Ukrainians are saying that the bridge was destroyed, but mainly they were talking about the road bridge, like the thing that is on top of the columns. I saw the picture of this bridge, and we must say that it's very difficult to use this bridge for the cars and vehicles and so on. And even if these bridges still exist, and according to the Russian sources, this bridge can be used by the Russians, we need to understand that the Ukrainians are going to continue. And sooner or later, they're going to destroy this bridge. And as soon as they do this, they will start their massive offensive operation from the north. If we're talking about this area, about the area that we talked yesterday about the bridgehead that the Ukrainians built on this bank of the river, today we got more confirmation from both sides that Ukrainians established some bridgehead and that they took the town Andriivka. Now this information is confirmed by both maps. As you can see, the West Sources map has been updated. They show us a few flags saying that they control this town. Ukrainians control this town. If you're talking about the Russians, they're saying that these forces got into the artillery back and they were reduced heavily by artillery shelling. So for now, as you can see, there are two totally different points of view, so we need to wait a little bit to understand what's going to be next. But I'm sure that Ukrainians, if they have the bridgehead on this side of the river, of course they will try to develop it and they will try to move further towards Kherson. And now they will, of course, stretch their artillery, trying to destroy the bridge on the dam and this Antonov Bridge near Kherson. If we're talking about Seversk and Solidar area, about this area, there is no updates about the territory expansion. The front line is stable, but there are very heavy clashes there. The Ukrainians are moving more and more resources, more and more reinforcements to stop the Russians, and the Russians are reducing the Ukrainians as much as possible, as much as weapon they have. There is no updates from Ugledarskaya power plant, from Novolugansk. These towns is under the Russians. The only thing is that the Russian source map has been updated. Now you can see that this entire area is colored in red, showing that this territory is under Russian control. If we're talking about Semigoria, this town, this village, small village, the Ukrainians didn't leave this town. They tried to keep this area and they moved another 300 soldiers to keep Kadima and Semigoria. I'm not sure, and I'm sure that the Ukrainians understand that, and the Russians as well, that these 300 soldiers won't solve the problem of Kadim and Semigorye, and these two towns is going to fall very soon. As soon as the Russians demine this area and will destroy all traps in Novolgonsk and Ugledar and will establish some logistic, they will continue their offensive operation towards these two villages and they will take them. So the Ukrainians just try to win another few days or maybe 1 week. I'm not sure about week, but at least by these 300 soldiers, new fresh soldiers that were moved to this position, of course they are able to win few days, and this period of conflict, of this special operation or war, even a single hour may solve everything. So that's why the Ukrainians, we understand what are they doing. If we are talking about Pokrovsk, you see that the West source map is not updated, so the Russians are pushing and the Ukrainians are trying to hold as long as possible. But if we're talking about Slavyansk and Kramatorsk, about these two towns, we got more and more updates that Ukrainians are preparing to not to leave this town. The Russian sources are showing a lot of videos and pictures how the Ukrainians are moving everything they can to move from this town. The buses, the trucks, the equipment, vehicles, agricultural vehicles, everything that they can use, they're trying to move. So we can say that they understand that maybe they will have to leave this territory. So that's why they need to get as much as possible from this town. But all these updates are not the most important updates for today. Let's take a look at the Russian sources map one more time, and now we're going to move towards Donetsk. This one. If you see this map, you're gonna see that entire Donetsk is full of different kind of icons. It's the Russian sources map. And to tell the truth, we start receiving reports from this area from this morning. Some information were included into the report of Ministry of Defense of Russian Federation. Some of reports we got later, but I must say that there is something is happening there. Very, very important. Very heavy clashes all along the front line. Very heavy situation. And somewhere at noontime, the Russians announced and reported that they managed to break through the area near Donetsk, and that they have some advantages, and that they managed to develop their bridgehead in the area between Krasnogorovka, this Krasnogorovka, and Peski, this one. If we are talking about Donetsk, there are few fortified positions, very fortified positions. Of course, everybody knows Avdiivka, this is one of the most fortified positions. The next one is Peski. This is just one big trenches and fortifications that moves not just above the ground but under the ground as well. Another one is Krasnogorovka, this one, and Marinka, these two towns. And today the Russians managed to break through this area. There were not much update, not much information about the direction, about the towns. There was just one report that the Russians started to shell this area heavily, and I suppose that you saw a lot of video of smoke, of Russian aircrafts that flying all along this area, about the shelling, about everything. Today we got a lot of reports, by the way, about that. But there were no certain information where the Russians are pushing. Some sources were saying that the Russians were attacking Avdiivka, but it's not true. And as I repeat myself, as I told you, somewhere at noontime we got report that the Russians managed to break through the area between Krasnogorovka and Peski. Let's take a look at the West sources map. This one for better understanding. So according to the information, and later we got some schemas on the maps that the Russians, some sources, Telegram channels, military specialists were trying to show the destination, direction of attack. So they show us something like this, that the Russians were attacking Peski in this direction, and that the Russians were attacking Krasnogorovka in this direction. So it's just like something like a softly update, but I must say that I totally disagree with this information. I have another opinion about this situation. I started analyzing this situation, trying to understand what did happen there. How did the Russians manage to break through this area? They couldn't do this for the previous 8 years, and why did they do this today? What happened so they were able to do this today? Now let's take a look at map of disposition, this one, and let's take a look and try to find out who is responsible for this area from the Ukrainian side. And if we take a look at this map, there are 3 icons. The first one is the battalion Donbass. This Donbass battalion is located in Marinka, this one. There is 54th Mechanized Brigade that located in the area Kurakhova, Kurakhivka, this one, Krasnogorovka. And another one is 56th Mechanized Brigade that is responsible mainly for Avdiivka and this area. So these 3 brigades is responsible for this territory, and something happened with them, so the Russians were able to cross this area. If we take a look at the Russian sources map, you're gonna see one icon saying that 18th officers kills. And there is some more description, and today we got report that as a result of Russian attack, the Russians managed to destroy the 18 officers of 56th Mechanized Brigade of this one. This brigade who is responsible for Avdiivka, let's say for the area from Peski towards Avdiivka. If we're talking about the Ministry of Defense report, today they reported and they told that they attacked the headquarters of this 54th Mechanized Brigade, and they also destroyed the headquarters of these forces. And that happened today. So I suppose, as I understand, the Russians trying to they prepared this offensive operation for a very long time, as far as I understand. And by the beginning of this operation, the first thing they did, they destroyed and they attacked the headquarters of these forces, their main headquarters. And as a result of their attack, these forces were disorientated in this area and they lost their ability to be controlled by the commanders. Furthermore, if we're talking about this 54th Mechanized Brigade, the Russians were hunting for their headquarters for an entire week. If you are following my table, my Google spreadsheet, you're gonna see that Google Doc, you're gonna see that the Russians destroyed the headquarters of this 54th Mechanized Brigade a few times in a row during this week. So there is a few battalions. Each battalion had some regiment and so on, and the Russians tried to get these headquarters of these forces, and they managed to do this. Furthermore, yesterday internet there was a video from this 54th Mechanized Brigade, and according to that video, the soldiers from this brigade were saying that they are tired to die. They are tired to be on the zero line. They are tired to be sent by their command to the zero line to die. So there was some kind of desertion video from their side. They were saying that we refuse to fight more. We want some investigation and we want to punish those commanders who is responsible for their deaths. It was yesterday. Or maybe because of that fact, video maybe done a few days ago. Maybe it was a few days ago. Anyway, that happened during this week. Now let's take a look at the Russian sources one more time. You're gonna see that there is a lot of heavy shelling, not just from the Russian side. Ukrainians are also trying to fix the Russians. There was some explosion of the ammo depot in Avdiivka. There was some air defense work, so a very difficult situation. Now let's talk about the main idea according to my projection. Of course, it's my understanding of the situation. I don't think that the Russians are planning to attack Krasnogorovka and this Peski in front, as it was shown this morning from some Russian military specialist. Of course, nothing changed for the past 8 years in these towns. These towns is still fortified areas, and just because of the fact that they destroyed the Ukrainians' headquarters, it doesn't mean that now they are able to cross this fortification. Of course not. So I suppose that because of the fact that the Russians destroyed the headquarters of these 2 brigades, This one, 56 mechanized, 18 officers today were killed, and of these 54s, the headquarters were destroyed today without mentioning the number. I suppose that the Russians decided to attack right between these two areas, right like on the line of the border of a zone of responsibilities between these two centers. So I suppose that the Russians are moving towards Nivolskaya. This one, this town. So as you can see, if we take a look at the map of this position, this is this town. This town is located right in the middle between two line zone of responsibilities. And I suppose that because of the fact that command centers of both brigades were destroyed, they were just disorientated, and so that's why nobody were standing there to stop the Russians. Of course, there were some local forces, there were some brigades from both sides and so on, but I suppose that they didn't that there wasn't a very big barrier for the Russians. So I suppose that very soon in the very near future we are going to see some update that the Russians managed to break through exactly in this area. Furthermore, if we take a look at the Russian sources map, they're showing this icon somewhere here. Yes, they're saying that there was some movements between Krasnogorovka and Peski, but they're not putting this icon on these towns. They're putting this icon somewhere in the middle. So I suppose that there is some truth in this icon. Maybe they did it softly, but as I understand, they got right in target. So the Russians moving towards Nivolskaya. This is a small village right between these two zones of responsibilities. If we take a look at the Russian sources map, if we take a look at this village more closer, you're gonna see that there are few buildings, hangars, and few private sector where some buildings. So I suppose that it is a very nice position where the Russians can establish some bridgehead. Of course, this bridgehead, this position is not enough to develop their offensive operation towards like further to break through this area and so on, because this small village, and after that there is a field, and of course from this area there is no way to attack. But if you take a look at this area, we're gonna see that from this Nivolskaya, the Russians are able to establish some fire control over this road, MO4. This is the only road that leads from the big land towards Peski, towards these fortified positions. So first, let's update this area according to the information we have. According to my understanding, maybe it's some kind of speculation. I'm just trying to understand what is happening there. So I suppose that maybe even by this evening, if the Russians are successful, we're gonna see this update on the map. So the Russians would break through with the main idea to cut this road. And as soon as they're able to cut this road, Peski are no longer have any supply or support, because this part of road that leads from on the north from Donetsk is totally under total fire control. There's just 2.5 kilometers. There is no barriers between this road and the Russians. So that's why I'm sure that Ukrainians are not using this road for supply. They're using this part of the road, then they're moving somewhere, let's say towards Pervomayskaya or somewhere towards this cross. Then they turn on this road to the north, and then they're getting to Peski, because I don't think that they're using this road and move further using this road towards Peski, because this part is already under fire control. So that's why they're trying to do some hook somewhere here, and after doing this hook, they're getting Peski. And now the Russians, I suppose, they establish fire control over this area. And this situation gives them possibility to start their offensive operation towards Peski in front, because from now on, this area has no support. We can say that it's some kind of operational encirclement, because every single road is under fire. There is a river and so on, so there was just one way to get there, and now this way is under fire control. Of course, this fire control doesn't solve the Russians' issues and problems in one moment. They need at least a few weeks to reduce Peski till ruins and to reduce support to this area. And only after that they will be able to push. Now let's talk about the goals, and we understand if Peski falls, if this area Peski falls, these villages after Peski that are located after Peski, like Pervomayskaya and Nitailova, is not so difficult to take because they wasn't so prepared as Piesky were. So I suppose that the next step after taking Piesky might be something like this. Let's suppose that the Russians will be able to take this area after Piesky. And now we can see that this is the operation of encirclement of Avdiivka. The Russians were trying to encircle Avdiivka from the east side, from Verkhnytoretskaya, from Yasinovata, Verkhnytoretskaya. They were trying to attack Novobakhmutovka, trying to get Krasnogorovka, to get Keramik, Achertin, trying to encircle. But they were faced with a very heavy barrier from the Ukrainian side. They were standing and they're holding their position. But if the Russians are able to break through and collapse the front line near Piesky, we can say that Avdiivka immediately will appear in operational encirclement, because they will have just one road of support, this railroad. And of course there is some local roads, but all these bridges, as far as I remember, was already destroyed. There was only one bridge, this one, that still exists, but by taking this area, the Russians will establish fire control. And from that moment, Avdiivka will be in operational encirclement, and after that we'll be able to start counting days. But before, of course, let's wait the result of this operation. Today, let's take a look at the Russian sources map one more time. You see that there are very heavy clashes all along the front line. The Russians are sending there everything they have. And this is a very unpleasant situation for the Ukrainians. Because why this situation did happen? We discussed, because the Russians managed to disorientate the forces in this area by destroying their headquarters of these two brigades. And furthermore, the Ukrainians during the previous few weeks were moving forces from this area towards Nikolaev. And some sources were saying that in the south of Ukraine, in this area, there is around 200,000 soldiers. And the Ukrainians were pushing more and more forces from this area because they thought that this speed, this timings the Russians need to take control over this area is enough for them to start some offensive operation in the south. But as I understand, they wasn't expected this another breakthrough in the south in direction operation of encirclement of Avdiivka. And this is a very big problem for the Ukrainians because according to this plan, this entire situation is ruined. Because now, we discussed many times in the past that because of the fact that the Ukrainians will start operation in the south, the Russians will be forced to move some forces to the south to stop these offensive operations and so on. But for now, I see if the Russians break through this area, that means that now Ukrainians need to send their forces from the south to stop the Russians' breakthrough here. And this operation might break the entire plan of the Ukrainians of their offensive operation in the south. So let's see and let's follow this situation as well. And that's it for today. Military Summary Channel reminds you that we condemn any violence in Ukraine. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your like, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Thank you. Bye bye.